Good afternoon. Today we are going to have the discussion on motivation. Previously, we had already talked about the perception and attitude. Now, motivation is basically a subject area from psychology, but in the context of the organizational behavior, we'll be concentrating on the employee motivation. Here we are with the presentation. Employee motivation. Employee motivation or the organizational motivation has got three approaches, means three ways are there through which we can ensure the employees' motivation in the organization. Those three approaches are the traditional approach, human relations approach, and the human behavioral approach. Traditional approach or the classical approach, also known as a scientific management theory, it says that if the employees are substantially remunerated, if they are provided with the sufficient amount of incentives, performance-based pays, the employees will be motivated. But human relations approach, basically it contradicts this particular school of thought. It says that no, money is not going to do alone. Other than the money or whatever the facilities are being given to the employees, those are needed, that's true. But in addition to that, the motivation actually will be uh, uh, ensured through the appropriate relationship between the employees. The relationship between employees may have the multiple dimensions. It can be the relation between the colleagues. It can be the relation between the superior and supervisors and the subordinates. And it can be the relationship between the employees and the employers or the management. So different kinds of relational dimensions will help the employees to feel motivated in an organizational setting. That is according to the human relations approach. There are multiple famous tests or the researches which had been conducted in this particular area. And the third one is the human behavioral approach that focuses on the human behavior. Now, significant theories of work motivation. This particular theory, as proposed by Abraham Maslow in 1943, which is popularly known as the hierarchy of needs theory, it comes under the category of human behavioral approaches to the employee motivation. In this particular school of thought, the human behavioral approach, it focuses on the individual's behavioral attributes. It does not focus on the group relationship or the employee relationship within a group. Rather, it focuses that how the individual needs will be satisfied, and if satisfied in fullest, whether the employee will feel motivated or not. This need does not mean that it will be only the monetary need. There may be some other associated needs as well. So what are those needs? The first theory, which is proposed by Abraham Maslow in 1943, talks about the hierarchy of needs. You can see on screen there is a pyramid, and the base of the pyramid is showing there are actually five strata on the levels. The base of the pyramid is actually consisting of the physiological need. Now, the physiological needs are the basic needs. These are also known as the basic needs. The food, the shelter, the clothing, all these are the physiological needs for us. We can also call it as the biological needs. So it is true for all human beings. So that's why the base is broadened to accommodate the human population entirely. It is basically covering or housing the entire human population. Each of us are actually having the physiological need, otherwise we cannot survive. Now the next need will be the safety and security need. There are different types of security needs. To have someone's own house is basically a security need. But it is reflected through the security of income primarily, either you are doing the job or you are doing the business, each of us are actually looking forward to getting a secured job or a business, and this actually reflects our need for security and safety. And we try to uh, get our income secured in many ways, either through the investment or through a stable job or through an appropriate business. All these are actually helping us to ensure a safety and security of our income, and we do so. Belongingness and love. We the human being, basically we are the social animals, and we love to stay together. We love to stay in a family. We love to stay in relations. So this particular need of staying with others, the belongingness and love, basically constitutes the third level of this hierarchical pyramid. So these three needs are basically equally applicable for nearly all human beings. The physiological needs are for all. Safety and security needs, the number is reducing. That's why we can see that the level is accommodating less number of people. Tapering, it's actually heading towards the tapering end of the pyramid. Belongingness and love, again, although we are gregarious in nature, we love to stay together. We are the social animal, but still, this particular need may vary from individual to individual. But by and large, we have this need. So that's why still the level is broad in nature, but still it is again tapering down compared to the safety and security needs. All may not be having the need of having a family. There are many people in the world who are actually staying alone. So this is the basically the implication of this particular need hierarchy, or these three steps or the levels in this particular need hierarchy. Now the self-esteem is basically the self-prestige, the prestige that we often have when we achieve something. The social prestige, basically, it is reflected through the self-esteem. If you have achieved something, if you have doing a very good job, if you have earned lots of money through the business or any other kinds of achievement, so definitely that will give you a prestige and a social recognition. So that is basically a self-esteem, means you are having your self-respect, basically. Obviously, this particular need is again the number is reducing down in terms of the population. If I consider, the number is reducing down, but the most important thing is that there are many people in the society of ours who are having this self-esteem need, and for you or for any individual, if that particular individual is actually having that self-esteem need, and if it is properly fulfilled, then the person will be feel motivated. Person will feel motivated. And finally, the self-actualization is basically going beyond your own self. It is actually explained in this way, illustrated in this way. Going beyond your own self means when you are actually having a realization of your own potential, that what can you do, then actually you are understanding about your own potential, you are actualizing yourself. For example, you may be a very good cricket player, but parallelly you may be a very good painter as well. Okay, so cricket player maybe is your professional identity, but being a painter is not your professional identity. You are doing out of your own passion, and but you should identify yourself that what you can do. Maybe you are equally good as a painter. So these are the steps. Those are actually reflected in the need hierarchy theory. Now let me tell you one thing. There is another theory I will cover in the next series of lectures, which is known as the Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory. Two-factor theory says that these first three types of needs as defined by Maslow. This classification has not been done by Maslow, but later on Frederick Herzberg had done it. According to Herzberg, these first three needs, belongingness, safety, and physiological, is more or less applicable for all. And if these needs are satisfied by anyone, especially let's take the reference of the organization. You are an employee in the organization and these three needs are satisfied. You are getting good salary. with which you are actually meeting all these three needs. You are definitely earning your own living. You have arranged for your own residence as well, and you have got your own family as well. You got married and you have got your family as well. So all these three needs are satisfied. Now, once these three needs are satisfied, actually, this will not at all contribute to the motivation for you, work-related motivation. It will satisfy you, but it will not motivate you. Rather, if you are given a chance to have the self-esteem in the organization, if you are allowed to grow uh, uh, in the uh, along the career ladder, and if you are getting the promotion, then you definitely will be uh, feeling much more uh, you can understand, or you can feel the self prestige or the self esteem, because you have got the promotion in the organizational hierarchy. So that will add up to the prestige of yours. So this is the self esteem phase. And if the organization is allowing you to go beyond your own self, for example, you are an employee, you are an engineer, you are doing your own work, but parallelly maybe you are very good at in any fine arts. So if the organization is promoting an exhibition, okay, they have funded an exhibition, they have sponsored an exhibition where your paintings will be shown. So basically they are acknowledging your ability as a painter. They're acknowledging your potential and your ability as a painter. So they are actually encouraging your self-actualization attribute. Definitely that part will motivate you a lot. So these two, self-esteem and self-actualization, will contribute to the motivation of the employees. This is one-sided discussion. I have there are multiple dimensions and facets. Obviously, we can discuss at length in the next lectures or the doubt clearing sessions. But this is the model which is used for the employee motivation in the organizations. The first three phases basically contributes to the employee satisfaction, and the ethical two phases or the levels will contribute to the employee motivation. Till this point of time, that's it for today. And thank you very much. We shall continue with our next series of lectures. Till that point of time, thank you very much again. Stay indoor and stay safe.